Now guys, stick around to the end of this video because I've got a surprise for you guys. If you love cheese plants, you're gonna want to see what happens at the end of this video, because something almost miraculous happened which we weren't counting on. Although I was hoping and secretly praying for it to happen, I was so blown away when this actually happened a few weeks ago. So stick around to the end if you want to see what happens next. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel once again. Kenroy here. Now in today's video I am going to be bringing you another part in the series where I've been trying to propagate our giant cheese plant. Now you've probably seen from our previous videos we've had some highs and some definite lows in regards to propagating this cheese plant, and we're now at that point where it is time for us to finally plant this out into some soil. Hopefully get these potted in so they can take root and hopefully start to flourish. Now if you're new to the channel and you like content like this where we do a lot of DIY projects as well as home gardening and some family vlogs along the way, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year and we're already well on the way, and so your support will be crucial in us hitting this milestone by the end of this year. Now if you've seen from my previous videos, we've tried propagating this cheese plant because it got so big in our house that it started to fall over. We didn't want it to die and break apart, so we thought it would be a good idea at the beginning of the year to chop it into several pieces and try to grow it in various mediums like in water and in soil. Now it's safe to say that we almost completely failed this mission, because one of the biggest problems that I found is that we actually placed this cheese plant in the outhouse in our laundry room, which was absolutely freezing at the beginning of the year compared to inside the house, and we almost lost all of the cuttings that we did except for two. Now thankfully I realized before it was too late, brought these guys inside. We kept them in our bedroom out of the reach of the kids as much as possible, and I'm pleased to say that today we've got two cheese plants which have been rooted and things are looking really positive. And now it's time for me to finally plant these out. Now I've got myself some pots as well as some compost, and today I'm going to be planting these cheese plants, getting them watered in, and hopefully in the weeks to come they will start to flourish. Now this is what the cheese plant currently looks like. The leaves, as you can see here, started to die away before we were able to rescue them. They started to dry up, but the good news is that since we've put them in the house, things have warmed up. The temperature in the environment has gotten a lot warmer. They started to kick on and they've actually started to root, which I feel has halted and stopped the decay of the leaves. So since they've started rooted, they've pretty much looked like this, which doesn't look particularly nice, but it's a good sign that they're no longer just rotting and dying off. I'm going to show you what the roots look like. I'm in the greenhouse, so I haven't got a huge amount of space in here, but I'll do my best to show you what the roots look like. And the good news is that there's multiple roots coming out. Now it's interesting that the first stalk, which was a smaller one, started to root first. However, the roots have since slowed down considerably. I don't know if you can see that well enough on camera, but they're still there. Some of them are still growing. And so I think it's time to plant this out, as they've been quite weathered in. They're starting to change color to a darker color because they've been sitting in the water for a little while. There's still some new roots coming out just at the bottom there. So I think it's definitely time to get these in some rich organic soil, and hopefully they'll take off. Now the larger of the two, which had two leaves on there, for ages this one seems as if it wasn't going to take root, but I'm pleased to say it finally did started to sprout some roots, and boy has it sprouted some roots. These roots are a lot fresher. I don't know if you can see that on camera. They're coming out a lot yellower on the camera, but from where I'm standing they look quite white, and you can see that loads of tiny roots are also being sprouted, which is fantastic. I'm really pleased that this is growing so well. So yeah, I think it's definitely time for me to get these in the soil. Another reason why I wanted to propagate this is to make sure that we didn't lose this plant, and by having multiple cuttings, it increases the the odds of you having multiple plants around the house. Now this cheese plant means a lot to us because it was the only plant that we owned when we came from London, when we moved here to the West Midlands. It was a gift from my mother-in-law, I believe, and so we really didn't want it to die. At its heyday, it looked spectacular, but like I said, it was just getting a bit too big for its boots, and so we had to chop it. So now we can realign this one, hopefully, once we've planted them in the soil, and then we can start again from scratch. Now I went to my local B&M store today in order to get some pots. They're not the most premium quality ones ever, but you know, I'm always looking out for a budget, and these were under £2 each. And it's not a bad size. I think it's around 21 centimeter pots. It's hopefully breathable. I'm going to need to get some saucers for the bottom of this, but I'm pleased to say we got them at a good price. So I'm going to fill this up with some compost now, get these rooted in, and hopefully in the weeks to come we'll be able to show you guys some new growth. Okay guys, so first things first, I'm going to get my compost and start putting some of it in these pots. Now I didn't get too much of a big pot because I wanted these to root, hopefully increase the success rate before they get big enough. And once they start growing on, I will have to repot these because these guys are absolutely huge, and so they will definitely need a bigger pot. But for now, these pots will definitely be okay to get these rooted, hopefully established before they can move on, because like I said, these are absolutely ginormous once they start growing. Okay, here goes nothing guys, wish me luck. So I get some soil, get these firmed in, and hopefully we'll get some roots going. Now I'm compacting this in as much as I can because this soil is quite light and free draining, and the last thing I want to do is not to compact it enough because these are quite heavy leaves, and for it to then start being knocked over very easily. So the more soil, it will help to give it some weight, and the more compact it is, the better. Then I'll give these a good watering in, and then I'll probably leave them here in the greenhouse for a few days at least to see how things go. Okay, so that's the first one done guys. You can probably see in the background here, I've got some bell peppers growing, and we've actually got some blossoms, and we got the signs of our first peppers coming through, which is amazing. I got these peppers from a local store which was in the discount section. There was a tray of around 6 for I think it was £1, which was a really good price, and you can see plenty of blossoms on here. Now I will do a review at the end of this year to find out how well I did with this greenhouse, because I've learned so much so far as to what does well in here versus what doesn't. Hashtag cabbages, but that's for another video. But our bell peppers and our sweet peppers are coming in nicely, and we can't wait for these to grow and mature. Okay, so let's get this guy stuck in, because this is the larger one, so I want to make sure we position it well. And that was another reason why we really wanted to propagate these, because they weren't positioned particularly well in the old pot which we had. So it'd be a nice thing to see these positioned properly so they can grow on. Okay guys, so I've just potted these cheese plants, these giant cheese plants in, and they're looking pretty sweet, if I do say so myself. All that is left now for me to do is to give these a good soaking, because this compost is completely dry, and so I'm going to soak these, let it soak up, and then I'm going to add some more water to it to make sure that they're fully saturated. And I'm going to keep a close eye, he says, on these for the next week or two, to make sure that they don't dry out, and to make sure that they're not suffering from whatever heat is coming our way. But so far so good. You can remember at the beginning of the year guys, we were able to install these water guttering on our shed with these 210 litre water butts. It's such a joy to come out and actually be able to fill up our watering cans with fresh rainwater that is free of charge. let's go water these cheese plants. Okay, here we go. Have a nice drink. Now I find that when you water plants, sometimes you think that they've had enough, but it's a good idea to just let them soak through all that water, especially when the soil has been so dry, as we just taken it from the bag. So you want to make sure that you water these and water them until it's completely saturated. And I think what I'll probably do actually is not leave these in the greenhouse for fear that they'll end up drying out too much. At the moment, when I'm at work during the day, I don't get home till late in the evening, and I don't always have the time to come out and water and tend to the plants. So I probably want to keep this closer to the house where it's a lot cooler. Won't be as intense because it does get pretty hot in here. I mean, it's around 8:30 in the evening at the moment and it's just under 20 degrees, and that's with the greenhouse completely open. So yeah, I might want to keep these a bit closer to the house for the next couple of weeks before letting them fend for themselves. But so far so good. I'm loving the way these are looking, and I'm hoping that they'll take root after all our hard work. And yeah, there's been a lot of prayers going up for these plants, I can tell you. So really thrilled that we're finally planting them out into some compost, and they're looking good. Okay guys, so you probably remember a few months ago when we started this propagation journey for this giant cheese plant, that we cut this from the mother plant, which was literally falling over on itself. Now I did leave these roots in the soil, in the house, in the living room, and I'm pleased to say that something amazing has happened. Now I was kind of half hoping that something like this would have happened, but I wasn't expecting it. Now a few months ago we started to realize that there was something emerging from these stalks which was sticking up out of the soil, and we sort of held our breath in hoping that our cheese plant would come back to life. And I'm pleased to say guys, well, I'm going to show you and you can see for yourself how incredible this is. So yes guys, the cheese plant root which was left in the soil has started to sprout, and honestly we can't believe it. Not only is it sprouting just at the bottom here, if you can see just above this node, but there's a leaf and a new shoot coming up just beside it. There's also another node sprouting at the top here which already has quite a nice sized leaf, and unfortunately the kids broke one of these off, which was probably the initial one that started to grow. However, I mean, this is still incredible. It's still at its early stage now, and I'm trying desperately to keep it away from the children. I've just moved it in the kitchen here, the lighting's a bit better, so that you can see that there's life, even though there seemed to be as if there was nothing going to be growing from this guy. I mean, this is amazing, and the best thing is that it's growing really close to the ground, at the top of the soil level, so I will be able to chop this section off eventually and hopefully try and propagate this section at the top, so I'll have two different cheese plants growing from this one stalk. Then not only am I hoping to have propagated the one growing in the greenhouse, but if those fail, we also have more options of having this guy growing as well. So this is absolutely incredible. What I'm hoping to do now is waiting for this just to get a bit stronger, and I'm hoping to do it in the warmer months before it hits into sort of the autumn and going into winter, as I've learned from my past mistake that these guys love to be propagated in the warmth, but this is just incredible. So all I'm going to do now is let them grow a bit bigger, get a bit hardier, and then once that's done, then I can think about cutting this maybe just about there and trying to sprout some new roots and have another cheese plant in another pot. Like I said before guys, these cheese plants are very expensive if you buy a full-size one, but they look absolutely stunning once they're up and running. And so it's very important for us to keep this alive, but also to get some new plant for our home, because as you can see, we do love having houseplants dotted around the bedrooms as well as the living room and the kitchen. You know, we've got some hanging in the kitchen, got ones in our bedrooms and also in the office. And although it's hard work keeping an eye on all of them, it's really nice when you can see them all growing. And so yeah, that was the surprise I wanted to show you guys at the end, that our cheese plant is sprouted and we're just absolutely over the moon for it. Okay, so that's it guys, I'm going to end this video here. Let me know what you think. I mean, this has been an absolute surprise for us that we've got more cheese plant babies on the way. And yeah, we're just so thrilled and over the moon. But let me know in the comments down below if you guys are growing houseplants yourselves, and if you are, what is your favorite houseplant? Would love to hear from you in the comments down below. As always, this is Ken Roy saying, I'll see you when you see me. Happy growing.